It's festival week and BDF starts in 2 days. Welcome to Bliss Live. I'm Cassie Begley, the founder and visionary for Bliss Dance Festival, aka BDF. BDF is a weekend of celebration, and what are we celebrating? Women's sexual empowerment. Our festival is this Friday and Saturday, August 6th and 7th, and tickets are available on our website. BDF highlights women choreographers while empowering women to celebrate their sex, sexuality, and sexual desires. We've got 2 days of super sexy workshops: erotic chair dance, sexy selfie, striptease dance, erotica writing, BDSM mistress workshop, sexy heels dance, and fantasy exploration and discussion. We also have a masquerade after party with the incredible DJ Liv and tantalizing go-go dancers. And let's not forget our main event, the mini dance films, where our featured choreographers reveal their wildest fantasies. Today, I'm so excited to be talking with two of our erotica writing workshop facilitators, Ava Fox and Marina Adair. Let's welcome Ava and Marina.
Hi.
Hi. Hi, Marina.
Hi, how are you? Thank you for having me here.
Thank you for being here. I'm so glad that you're here with us. Hi, Ava.
Hello. Hi.
Hi, how are you doing?
Good. I'm surviving the heat, so I'm doing good.
You're surviving the heat from where? From Arizona, right?
Yep. Yes, I live in southern Arizona where it is excessively hot today.
Excessively hot. And Marina, you're here in California with me, yes?
Yes, I'm in Northern California where we've had an abnormally hot summer, but not nearly as I lived in Arizona for 1 year. So Ava, I feel your pain.
Oh, thank you.
And we have our ASL interpreter, Stephanie, with us, as always. She's always here partnering me. Thank you so much, Steph. I actually waited for her to stop this time. That's a miracle for me, as if you've watched the past live streams, you would understand. She knows. Anyways, we are here with Ava and Marina, two of the 3 erotica writing workshop facilitators. And we have one more who's Kelly, who couldn't be here today. But she will be here with us on what day? Saturday, I think the workshop is.
Yep.
Super excited. It's this weekend. I can't believe it. I've been so excited for this particular workshop. It's not like anything that we've had before. It's not dance, and we are a dance festival, but we are tapping into our sexuality and our fantasies, and you're going to help us. And that's amazing. That's so amazing. So thank you, ladies, for that.
Absolutely. I was excited when I got the invitation. I was like, yes, yay, I get to talk about my craft. It'll be wonderful.
Yes.
I was excited anytime Kelly invites me to anything. Kelly Rice is just the best networker I've ever met. And so it's always a fun time.
Yay.
And she knows like everyone. It's amazing.
It's because she's so lovely.
Yeah.
She's the loveliest person I've ever met.
Oh, yeah.
Kelly, if you are watching, you are loved and missed.
Dearly.
Okay, so I have a list of questions here. Just a few questions here. And so we're gonna get to it. We're gonna get straight to it. So the first question I have for the two of you is, our audience, they don't know you, and I'm just meeting you also. How do you identify yourself?
Dana, you want to go first?
I identify myself as, I want to get this right, she, her, right?
Oh, okay.
Yes. Is that what you're... I'm like, is that what you're asking? My teenage kids are always like changing the rules on me, so I'm not exactly sure. My pronouns are her, she.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as like who I am as an individual,
yeah.
Okay, that is that's a little bit more complex. I am a mom, I am a wife, and I like to consider myself to be a sex goddess as well. So yeah, and it's pretty much in that order because I have to, put everybody first. But it's fun.
Good, thank you. What about you, Marina?
So I am a mom to a 20-year-old college student, which has given me gray hairs. But now she's becoming a woman in her own right and an adult. And so the gray has slowed down a little bit. And I'm also a wife and I'm a beer lover. I'm a fur baby mom and I'm a romance author. And I think for me, being a romance author, I have my own identity, my own career, a life that's just mine outside of all of the other labels or personas that I carry throughout the day.
Yeah.
I love that. I mean, I think that, we and women in general wear so many different hats, and it's really great and necessary to have something for ourselves.
Yeah.
Right? And definitely our careers and our sexuality, who we are as women, definitely falls in that. Right?
I agree.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're always, every time you add a new hat to your life, you have to reinvent how everything else is going to flow into that. And so, absolutely. Yeah. That's why women are incredible.
Ava, I am too a sexual goddess. I believe so. It's in everything I do. So
That's right.
can I ask you what is your writing background?
So I have an MFA in screenwriting from San Jose State. And midway through, I realized I didn't want to be a screenwriter. I wanted to write romance novels. I have this fascination with discovering and exploring healthy love. I think it came because I didn't have a childhood with healthy love. So all of my books and everything I work on creatively, it's really an exploration of what that means and what that means to everyone. It's a different definition. So that's what my background is, and that's what I'm really passionate about writing.
I love that. Healthy love. And that's like healthy relationships in general. And that really affects also intimacy, of course. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. Go ahead, Ava.
My background, I actually started in hospice. And through that, I would find ways to be creative because I had to leave that at work. And so in my early 20s, I just started writing little short stories of happy times. I love the idea of Prince Charming getting you and taking you away to happily ever after, whatever that may look like. And I grew up in a home where sex was not a bad thing, but it was something you didn't really talk about. Mm-hmm. And then I married into a very religious family where sex was like off limits. And I accumulated a group of women friends who were like, I don't understand this. And so it almost became my passion to help these women be more comfortable in their sexuality and to accept that, sex isn't, you don't get a handbook. It's whatever you want it to be and whatever makes you feel the best. And so like 5 years ago, I started self-teaching. I got all the craft books I could find. I became friends with Kelly, and she gives great writing advice, and I just surrounded myself with a community. So I'm a self-taught author.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah.
I see. Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing. Yeah.
It's been a journey. It's been a wonderful journey for sure.
So in this journey, you landed here in BDF, and Bliss Dance Festival is made up about 40 volunteers, including yourselves, and 95% of them are women. And I was wondering, what made you want to participate in this festival?
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, for me, it was when Kelly Rice actually asked me to be a part of it. like I said before, anything that she's ever invited me to has always just been amazing.
Mhm.
And so this is kind of my first intro to you guys. So I'm excited to be here and thankful that you guys invited me.
Yay, thank you.
Yeah. Well, very similar. Kelly Rice is the one who sent the invite out. Up until then, I had never heard of the Bliss dance, and yeah, so I was like, why not? I don't want to give too much away, but sometimes there are certain circles, even in the writing community, where you can't talk about erotica and writing. And so I thought this would be a great opportunity for me to get out there and share my craft with people who are interested in learning about it. So
Yeah.
so yeah, I didn't even have to like think twice. I think I responded immediately, yes. And then I thought, wait a minute, I don't dance. How am I? Yeah.
And a lot of dancers might think, not a lot, but some dancers might think, oh, I don't write. And this is a great opportunity for not just dancers, but for anyone, any adult to be able, oh no, we lost Marina. Okay, I hope Marina comes back. Come back to us. She probably lost her internet for just a moment. But I just think that, it's an opportunity for everyone to be able to express their sexuality, which is a huge, part of this festival. I mean, it's a dance festival, right? But
Yeah.
it's a huge part. It's to empower ourselves, to celebrate our sex. So being able to write about that's great.
Well, yeah. And that's what I really liked about it, was that you guys are in your dance, you're embracing sexuality, and you're helping people to express themselves through dance and all these other outlets with selfies and everything else, which I'm really excited about. And for me, writing erotica, it's all about expressing your sexuality and your innermost fantasies and desires, and if no one else likes what you write, you like what you write. What you write stimulates yourself. So as soon as I started rolling this around, I was like, absolutely, I want to be there.
Yeah, and just so everyone knows out there, like the workshop itself is set up so that we have 3 different levels of heat. So, and we have the mild, the medium, and then the extra spicy.
Right.
And I believe that Kelly is taking on the mild, and Marina is handling the medium,
Yep.
and you, Ava Fox, is handling the extra spicy.
Yes, and I'm hoping that I can make everybody comfortable. When sometimes it's intimidating hearing extra spicy, but it's definitely going to be spicy and fun.
Mm-hmm.
And totally inclusive. It's going to be great.
Oh, good. Yes. Okay, so I don't know where Marina is, and I'm trying to see what's happening. And I think Hannah, if you check, Hannah's backstage right now. She's behind the screen. And if you check the our email, she's there somewhere. She's there. I'm gonna let Hannah find her. Anna, she made a comment. Anna Curtis. This is great for those of us that are a little self-conscious about dancing that still want to have an outlet for expression. Yes, exactly. This is for everybody, right? Mm-hmm. The festival is for everybody.
Yeah.
And we need different ways of expressing. Thank you so much for commenting, Anna. Appreciate that.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things I'm really excited about the dance festival, because I have always wanted to learn how to move more erotically, and I've never had the courage to step outside of my home and do any kind of classes or stuff, because I have 2 left feet, 3 sometimes.
Well, I suggest the striptease class. Elise is very warm, and she's very just she's very safe. Yeah.
Awesome.
I mean, all the classes are going to be wonderful, but I feel like if you really have like 2 or 3 left feet, a great way to start would be with the striptease class with Elise.
Awesome.
Yeah, I've taken her class and it was wonderful. Yeah. Okay, so I have more questions. What percentage of your sex scene writing comes from experience versus fantasy, Miss Ava?
I would say it's like a 20-80. It's 80% fantasy and 20% from experience. Just because there are certain experiences that I want to keep locked away in my treasure box. But I do take what some of the things from it, especially like scent and time and place and how things felt. So I do take from those memories and put it into my writing. But I've never like sat down and day one, there was roses on the bed when I walked in. So yeah, I definitely think it's 80% fantasy, 20% from experience.
I'm back.
Yay!
Yay! It just dropped. It was crazy, but I'm happy I'm back. Sorry about that.
Oh, we're glad you're back too.
For a minute there, I was talking to my husband trying to like troubleshoot it. And I'm like, I'm going to feel really dumb if I'm actually live right now and they could see everything.
We would somehow get your attention and tell you.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Well, you came in at a good time because I just asked a fun question and now I get to ask you because Ava already answered. So, Marina, asking you, what percentage of your sex scene writing comes from experience versus fantasy?
Probably 50-50. In fact, my husband, I knew when he had read one of my books because suddenly we were in the middle of sex and he did something different. I'm like, you were reading my book.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So half of it, I say, is from real life and half of it is from fantasy. And I kind of merged the two together.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Wow. That's great.
That's what I need to start like texting my husband scenes from my books.
Well, I remember one time in my very first romance I wrote, it was a cowboy romance. And I asked my husband, would there be any reason a man would be naked in a tack room? And he's like, no, under no reason would anyone ever be naked in there. And I'm like, well, you know those little sawhorse things where they put the saddle on? Could you have sex on that? No, it would collapse. And so eventually I said, okay, so I'm writing this sex scene. He's like, it's fantasy, babe. You can write whatever you want.
Right. If your sawhorse isn't sturdy enough to support the weight of 2 adults, you need a new sawhorse.
Amen.
Yes.
I don't know anything about horses, but whatever. The fantasy sounds great to me. So yes, I say I agree with your husband, Marina. Yes, it's a fantasy. Do whatever you want.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, and that's an interesting take on it because there was one novel, a set of novels that were nitpicked so badly that every now and again, as a writer, I will literally like go through each scene and I'm like, okay, if somebody tries this, are they going to get hurt? And is it going to get nitpicked? Sometimes you just, you have an audience that's a little bit too, I can't think of the word. I'm not a public speaker.
Being critical and and when it's supposed to be fantasy and they don't want to go into the fantasy, they just want to go into like what is realistic, right? Yeah.
I think
don't ruin the fantasy.
Right? With romance, it could be anything. I once was judging a contest and it was a sci-fi like space opera romantic comedy, if that is such a genre. And it was about the hero was a cat who talked and his goal was to like have litters of kittens all around the universe.
Oh, wow.
And so it wasn't really my jam or what I thought it would be. in the end, she was such a great writer. I got to the end of the book. I'm like, I want to read her next book. So I think it's all fantasy. It's whatever you want to make it. And you're always going to get readers that are a little nitpicky here or there. But for the most part, a mentor of mine said, never read reviews.
Yes.
And so I've listened to that and taken that to heart. Because otherwise you freak yourself out and you start writing based on your fears rather than writing based on your fantasy and this idea and dream that you have when you set out to write the book.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. If you are an author, do not read the reviews. It comes from experience.
Yeah. that makes sense. That goes the same for dance, I would say. Anything that you do, especially like artistically, creatively, that if we are committing ourselves to that fantasy or to that story or to whatever that message might be, we just need to stay committed to it. And if we know what's in our hearts and what we really feel, I think that's what's most important. Speaking as an artist, like I think that would probably be the most important. Am I staying true to my heart? Right? Yeah. The naysayers, forget that. Judgy people. Okay. I have another one. How did you get into, well, Marina, do you write erotica or you're mostly romance, but you also do some erotica?
So no, I would be considered mainstream romance. I'm in the middle of spicy. I'm not sweet, but I'm not hot like Ava. So I fall somewhere in between.
We did say that while you were gone trying to troubleshoot. We were talking about the mild, medium, and extra spicy levels of heat in this workshop. And yes, you are in the medium, right? The medium.
I would be between like medium to a little bit hot. So not quite spicy, but a little bit hotter.
A little bit hotter. Okay.
Yes.
Well, the question is, how did you get into writing erotica? So that would go to Ava.
I started writing erotica like my mid 20s, early 30s. And I read Anne Rice's Sleeping Beauty series, and immediately I was like, I can write like this. I've got stories that I want to tell. And I noticed that when I shared my stories with my female friends, they loved them. So I was like, I can do this. But it wasn't until my mid 30s that I started taking it seriously and putting it out there for the whole world. And I love doing it. I love doing it because sometimes you get comments that are just kind of like, yeah, okay. And sometimes you get really endearing comments if you read between the lines.
And I think that there are people out there that write erotica and don't publish or don't share.
Right.
And and I think that this workshop would be great for something like that. I mean, I would love to take a stab at that and try to write something.
And a lot of people too, they think that you have to have like a degree in writing in order to write. And you really just need to sit down and write the story. And then you can worry about editing and all that other stuff and everything. But we've become so reliant on, you have to have an expertise in something that I think a lot of people they hold themselves back because they're not an expert in it. And it's like, just do it. Just do it and see how it goes, so, but yeah.
I was talking to another author friend, Vanessa Waltz, who writes not quite erotica, but definitely kind of 50 Shades of Grey level of heat. And we both met in grad school. And she said the number one advice she gives when people say, oh, was it worth it? She's like, no, just read a bunch of books, figure out what you love. And if you're going to go to school, get a degree in business. Because as authors, I think, or the creative side of us, at least for me, that I struggle with, is the business side of it.
Yes.
So I would agree with you 100%, Ava, that it's more about just figuring out what you're passionate about, do a bunch of research like reading, and then figure out what kind of stories you want to tell.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That's probably good advice for anyone in the arts, right?
Yeah.
Business.
Oh, yeah.
Students that too. Mom, are you going to study dance? You better study business too.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's an author, there's a duo that I follow. They write romance. They go by the name of Ava Fox. And the main one who has the bigger online presence, she actually started in marketing. Like, she was working for a marketing firm, and she's got a degree in marketing and business, and they are phenomenally doing well. Yes.
Huge.
Yeah. I have to remind myself that I cannot eat at their table yet, but I will one day.
Oh, yeah. There we go. Yes. That's what I want to hear. Okay, here's a fun one. What are some of your favorite sexual metaphors? Both of you. Take a sip right here.
I think for my men, I like the metaphor of sausages because
I'm sorry. I have to Google.
So every penis is like a fingerprint. They're all unique. And if you pay attention to sausages around the world, they're the same way. And so I love, and I'll go in and I'll call them Polish sausages or German sausages or whatever, just because I love that idea that not every single one is the same. I once had a friend, and she always said, yeah, once you've seen one penis, you've seen them all. And I'm like, I don't think so, but I could be wrong. So, and then for the ladies, I've always loved like honeypot or treasure chest, just because it really is. It's like you can do so many magical things with your lady bits. You just, it's like a giant treasure box.
I like the honey pot.
Yeah,
I do too. I might actually use that. That's a good one.
Yeah,
absolutely. Well, and that one came from. I was asking for suggestions on how to describe the taste of a woman, and honeyed peaches is what came out. And it's basically canned peaches, but you put honey in it, so it has that sweet and spicy flavor to it. And I was like, it's a honey pot. Yeah.
Okay, so how many of us are now going to can peaches and put honey in it and be like?
So my family's from Arkansas. I was born and raised in California, but all of my relatives from Arkansas, and my grandma used to take canned peaches and put honey over it.
Yep.
And I think right now she's laughing in her grave at the idea of this conversation.
I love it. Oh
yeah.
Gosh, I love it. I'm so wanting to do it now.
Mm-hmm. It's a lot of fun. I've done it. It's a lot of fun, and it's worth it because after you let them sit on the shelf for like a month or two, they get to soak up the spices and the honey and everything. And when you bite into it, it's just like, it's so mouth-watering that you end up just, yeah, it's beautiful.
Okay, people, what are we talking about now? I have no idea. What's happening?
Oh, we've got to find out Marina's sexual metaphors.
Yes.
So I was never good in geography, and clearly I'm trying to make up for that. So I often use like south of the border, ground zero, ladyland. So it usually comes out somehow in geography of the body.
Right.
Spreading north and south, south of the equator, north of the equator. So yeah, I do a lot of geography in my metaphors.
Right. So is the belly button like the equator?
That's the equator.
Yes.
For a man,
okay.
It's his belt.
Oh, okay.
So,
yeah.
And
awesome.
on a man, north of the equator isn't all that fun, but on a woman, it could be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is. It's a whole lot of fun. I'm telling you, we're magical unicorns, women.
We are.
Oh, I think you're a cat right now, Ava.
Yeah. My headset broke, and so I ran over to the 99-cent store, and this is the one that they had, and it even has like a button. I don't know if it's going to work or not, but there's a button that you can push and the lights. Oh, there we go.
Oh, there we go.
It's like a disco pussycat.
There we go.
Lose the cat on there and it could be a metaphor.
Oh, yeah. See, we're making up all kinds of stuff.
Right?
Let me write that down.
Things to expect for the erotica writing workshop.
That's
People.
right.
You never know what's going to happen. Oh my gosh. Ooh, okay. Since you both have husbands, if you have a significant other, do you model any of your characters after that person?
Yes, 100% yes. My husband is, I think he's damn sexy. He's big and tattooed and a big teddy bear and Italian. And yes, ladies, what they say is true. And he's the dream guy. Like, he jumps out of helicopters with Navy SEALs. He's search and rescue. He kind of does it all.
Right.
So I get all of the stories from him and his military buddies. And then I create these really badass alpha males. And so a lot of the stories I get are actually from him and his friends. But my husband is in just about every hero I write in some way or another.
Right.
Wow.
That is totally awesome. Unfortunately, no. I do use him a lot as far as like, because he's blonde haired, blue eyed. And so as far as his physical physique, yes, but like I write a plethora of different male characters. And so like right now I'm working on one where he's like a Russian immigrant and he owns this campsite and this widow comes along. And so, I couldn't use my husband to describe that character, but for the most part, I would say no.
That is so interesting. One is a yes and totally a yes, and one's a totally a no. So
it just goes to show you, though, that we're all writing the same thing, but we're writing something completely different. And how our journey is, whether it's our career or a book or creatively, we all have a different journey, but we end up in the same area.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is now next time I read something, I'm going to think, I wonder what their journey's like. I wonder what the author is going through when they're writing, because I haven't thought about that. And that is another layer of fun, I think, to think about the person on the other side who wrote this. What were they thinking?
Yeah.
What's happening over there?
I was going to say that is pretty much what I was thinking when I read Anne Rice's Sleeping Beauty trilogy. I was like, holy moly.
Okay, so we should read that.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I still recommend it. I do recommend it. I do still like it. There were a couple of places where I had to put the book down and I had to walk away and digest some of the scenes and then come back. But that was just me growing as far as like my understanding of other people's sexualities and how they function. Because I started life in one time frame where it wasn't acceptable for people to do things, and so reteaching my brain and understanding these complex relationships has been really interesting for me. But I do recommend reading her series. Absolutely.
Yeah, I could do a little less Netflix, a little more reading. Sure. Yeah.
Right.
That sounds good.
I think they have them on audiobook too. So.
Oh, that's good. That's
Yes.
great for like walks and things. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. What is your favorite scene you've written?
That's a hard one.
Ooh.
All right, Ava, you go first so I could think. That was really unfair of me.
So far, I think that I'm working on a story that I've titled Someday, and it's about two young people they're in love, and they do a hand fasting, but instead of just the hand fasting, they take it a step further, and it's a blood hand fasting. And so like their souls are intertwined. And I wrote this scene about the night that they did their hand fasting, and I absolutely loved it. I loved writing this scene because like as I was writing it, I could smell the grass and I could hear the water trickling in the stream, and it was just so vivid for me to be there. It was like I was right there, you know, and so I love that scene. It is as of today, I would say it's definitely my favorite scene. So
now, I have to ask you, what is hand fasting?
So it is when it's a druid practice, and it's basically like marriage, but in like a pagan type. I'm totally slaughtering it because it's way more beautiful than the way that I'm explaining it. And so you tie your hands together with like a ribbon or a cord, and you basically make this eternal promise to one another. And an Outlander, Jamie and Claire, do it when they get married. So they get married in a Catholic church, but what you see, how they tie their hands together and then they open the vein and bleed together, is hand fasting.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
My whole body just went, whoa.
It's beautiful. It really is. So it is. It's really beautiful. I'm doing a horrible job of describing it, but
well, it just sounds very intense. Sounds intense.
Yeah. Every hand festing I've participated in, they've never done the last part. I think that's probably a good thing because not everybody can handle that.
I would pass out.
I'm going to pass out right now.
Oh no, don't do that. Don't do that. But yeah, so
Marina, did you think of one for yourself?
I did. It's actually a story that's coming out called Summer Affair, and it comes out in January. And it's kind of my take on a cougar story. So it's a single mom in her mid-30s who ends up having this massive crush on a 27-year-old guy who in her head she thinks this is never going to happen. We're at completely different stages. So what is the harm in an innocent crush? Until she realizes that the crush is reciprocated. And so her having a little boy in the house, she can't exactly invite a strange man in to have sex. So I had to get creative. And so they have this whole sexting back and forth and through the window. And so he gets out of the shower. He's completely naked. And she flicks off the light thinking, oh my God, he's going to catch me. And of course he does catch her watching. So he calls her and says, come to the window, drag a chair over and sit here. And so then he talks her through exactly what he would be doing if she were there. And she talks him through exactly what she would be doing if he were there.
Oh.
And I loved how the scene came out. It was sexy and fun and flirty. Yeah. So as of right now, I would say that's my favorite recent scene that I've written.
Right. That sounds incredible.
It was fun.
And as someone who has been a single mom, that's exactly what you do. You got to hide away.
Right? I think he says first, lock your door. I think that's the first thing he says, lock your door. Because as single, as parents, period.
Yep.
Yeah. I like that. And I can feel myself going, what did you say?
I know. You said it comes out in January, right?
It comes out in January, yes.
Out in January, everyone. Let's all go find it.
I know.
Oh my gosh, I love that. So I have maybe like 2 more questions for you ladies. And if anyone out there has questions, please put it in the comments. Or you want to just make a comment, go for it. Often it's hard for women to talk about sex. I mean, super often actually, and especially our sexual fantasies. Sometimes we can talk about like the problems we have in sex, but sexual fantasies, it's rare that I hear any women talking about it. except for in my special sex positive group that I have. We will talk about it then. But it's been tough, I think, to be able to share the sexual fantasies and sexual desires. And I'm wondering, like, you guys, you both write about it. Are you able to freely talk about it with your friends?
So I think in the romance community, at least the romance community that I've created around myself, all my friends, we're all pretty sex positive. So we not only talk about the tough times we're going through, but also the good times. And we talk about what our sexual fantasies are. A lot of times it's when I'm plotting with my friends and we sit down and I help them plot out their book and they help me plot out my book. Fantasy always comes up because at the heart of every romance is a fantasy.
Right.
So I was very uncomfortable talking about it growing up. I grew up in a Southern Baptist house where sex wasn't talked about at all. And so it was through meeting my husband and becoming more comfortable with my body and comfortable as a sexual being that I was able to explore those things and then gain that confidence to talk to my friends about it. But for a long time, that was not a subject I would ever broach with my friends.
That's great. I'm so glad that you have that support system and that it's freedom. It's freedom to be able to talk about your desires.
It is.
Yeah.
So it depends on what circle I'm in. Like my mom, no, I wouldn't talk to her about the details of my book. But I have, like, my friends, I can talk to them. I have one friend, she goes by the pen name Bliss Winters, and she writes another genre and erotica, and we sit here and it's so much fun because we can joke around and talk dirty and everything that we need to, and it's great. But then, like, I could never go to, like a PTA meeting or parent teacher conference, and they're always like, oh, so what do you do for a living? And it's like, I'm an accountant. So it really, especially because of the graphic sexual content that I write, it just depends on who I'm around. So yeah. And I would like to say, like, my siblings, my sisters, my sisters are pretty easy to talk to about it.
Oh, that's fun. Oh, that's great. Yeah.
Ava, do you find that you write under a pen name for that same reason? That I know for me, I chose the pen name because I didn't want people at my daughter's school to find out what I did and then somehow like blackball her from parties because her mom wrote about dirty sex.
Yes. I didn't really think about it much with my boys, but as my daughter started getting older, I needed to find a way to distance myself from who I am every day and who I am when I'm Ava. And as she gets older, though, she is more forthcoming. Like, she actually told some of her friends, yeah, my mom writes books and they have a lot of sex in them. And that was a big step for her because she was afraid that she would be blackballed, and really her friends think it's great. And I've had lots of teenage girls be like, hey, can I talk to you? And I'm like, yes, but if we get into certain things, we're going to have to talk to your mother, So it's been, I definitely do try to distance myself, but it's not so bad to the point where if they make the connection of my real life versus Ava Fox, I'm not going to be like, oh my gosh. I used to be a 4-H leader, and I didn't write erotica while I was doing that because I was afraid it would affect my ability to work with the kids and everything. So, but my kids are aged out, so now I'm like, woohoo, let's do this.
And that's a common issue, I think, for lots of women and women who are moms with children who, what is the community going to think? I mean, I know I've worried about that myself. Like, what is my community going to think here in my town and my kids' schools? And because as, you know, mothers, are we supposed to express our sexuality? I mean, the true answer is yes, but the social answer is no. No, we're not supposed to.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. And so that's a problem, right?
Yeah. Yep. And that's one thing that, like, I've talked to my husband about it several times. You know, I told him, I was like, I would be more respected and more accepted if I was born with my own penis. So I bought one. And I carry him in my purse. He's got a name and everything. And I'm like, because it's true. If I was a man, no one would blink an eye if they found out that I was an erotic author and I had children and I volunteered in the community. But because I'm not, it's like, oh, mothers should be seen and not heard, and you should always look your best. And no, this mama goes to school in her pajamas half the time. And
but there's always that, oh, and you're a mother? Yes, yes, I am.
Yes, yeah, and you do, and you see it as soon as people put it together that you write sexual content and you're a mother. It's like, and you can actually see the moment that those things connect, and you're just kind of like, how do you think I made her? I mean,
right.
Come on.
Exactly. And that's why we are celebrating, because it needs to be celebrated. It needs to be visible. It needs to be heard and written and read, all of it. We need to celebrate and enjoy our sexual selves and all parts of ourselves. And our sexuality is just one huge part of who we are. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so my last question for the two of you are, where are you on your sexual journey now? Like, where are you? How do you feel about where you are at sexually?
For me, I was a child of sexual abuse. So for me, my journey has kind of been dark, but I'm really proud of the woman that I've become today and the place that I'm at in my sexual journey, that I could embrace myself for who I am, no longer feel ashamed of what happened or for wanting sex. Because for a long time, the two kind of got confused in my brain. And so I'm actually really proud of where I've gotten on my journey. And I have to say, a big part of that has been a husband who's been understanding and encouraging and kind of accepting me for who I am at every moment of every day.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Marina, thank you for sharing that really personal piece of information with us. We appreciate that. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. What about you, Ava?
I have noticed that as far as I still feel like I'm figuring it all out. Like, now that my children aren't small anymore, I have more freedom. Now that I'm in my 40s, I feel differently and I want to do more things. And so I think I finally feel empowered to say, this is what I want, this is how I want it, and I want it now. Whereas before, when I was younger, it was like, okay, well, you know, if it's what I got to do, that's what I got to do. And I would be, there was a long time where I was afraid to say, hey, this is what I need from you. And now, as I'm getting older and more comfortable with my own sexuality, I'm still learning and discovering, and it's amazing. It's amazing. Don't down your 40s. It's Foxy 40. It's like great. It's a wonderful time of life.
And I have to say, the closer I get to 50, the even more liberating it becomes.
Yeah. And that's like one of the things that I wish women would do more of, is not like, don't hold back. Just because you're getting older doesn't mean that you're not still as wonderful as when you were 18, 20, 21, whatever. You know what I mean? Embrace that. I mean, can you imagine if soon we're going to be able to have all the sex we want and not have to worry about children? And if we want a child, we'll just be like, bring the grandbabies over. We'll give them all the Play-Doh and all the sugar and all the good stuff. And then it'll be like, okay, goodbye. Grandpa and I need to spend some time alone.
And that way, if you want to have sex from one window to the other through a phone call, it's because you choose to, not because you have to.
Exactly.
Right?
You're keeping things spicy.
I'm loving this. I'm loving this because we are all pretty much the same here in our 40s and growing and exploring. And I don't ever want to figure it out. I want to keep searching. Like, who's going to want? I don't want to figure that out. No. I want to keep looking and searching. And you know what? We can't go without having this question answered by Anna again. What makes a woman a cougar? The age difference between her and her partner, or just the woman's age?
So for me, what I did was a cougar book. She was in her mid-30s. He was in his latter 20s. For me, it was just about being in different stages of life. But I believe the true definition of a cougar is half the woman's age plus or minus half the woman's age up to 7 years. So if you're 50, then it would be someone between the ages of 24 and 27.
Okay.
So at least my friend who is a cougar, that was the definition she gave to me. And she is all things cougar. So
you see,
that is awesome. That is awesome. Yeah, I just thought it was the woman's age. Like, once you're 40, if you start dating younger men, then you're a cougar.
Well, there's pumas, there's panthers, there's like a whole range now.
Oh,
yes.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to see. Look, I'm learning
all these things
stuff.
to Google.
Yeah, I'm like,
yes. I'm like, that's interesting.
What is it? It's like the cougar ladder.
I guess the cougar ladder. That's a great term for it.
Oh, Anna, thank you for asking that question. And now we have learned about the cougar ladder. Not just cougar, but cougar ladder.
Yeah.
Google that. We all will, including how to honey can peaches.
Oh yeah. Okay. The actual name is honey spiced peaches.
Honey spiced peaches.
Yes. Google honey spiced peaches. It'll give you the recipe, and you'll have to Google how to can them, because I think it doesn't do the jarring process in the recipe. But
yeah. And Ava, what book of yours should we read while we are eating our honey spiced peaches?
I'm like, geez. Oh. So I just recently published on Medium. It's called Pinch Me, Lick Me, Mount Me. I think that would be fun to read while eating the honey spiced peaches. Yeah.
Okay. Pinch me, lick me, mount me. Writing it down.
If anybody wants to do that with me, I'm gonna eat the peaches and read the writing. Yes,
that's right.
I think that would be a fun little get together.
Oh yeah,
get together. Oh,
there it is. Right on.
Wow. This has been a really fun interview, fun chat with you two. Thank you so much for being here with us. And can't wait for your workshop. I think it's going to be so much fun. Obviously, it's going to be so much fun. And I'm sorry I will not be able to have those peaches before that, because but I will get back to you on it. For sure. I'll let you know.
Absolutely.
So, I want to say thank you so much, everyone out there, for hanging out with us tonight. We are so happy to share all the intimate details with our Bliss friends and family. Don't forget to register for Bliss Dance Festival right now. It's happening this Friday and Saturday, August 6th and 7th, here with Ava Fox and Marina Adair. Thank you, good night, and sweet dreams.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.